I've been using Notion for years. Recently, I started using Hobonichi to track my language learning progress. I found it very effective, so today I want to share with you how I build my system and use them on a daily basis. This is the main page of my language learning tracker. It's probably not the most aesthetic page that you will ever see, but I promise it really works. At the end of each month, I like to make plans here. So if you take a look at here for monthly plans, I plan for each language. So for example, for French, last month I finished TV show Lupin part 1. So for this month, I was like, I kind of want to finish part 2. So I want to make sure that all of my goals are small and achievable. Otherwise, I feel like it will be too hard for me to track because I won't be able to finish all of them, or I feel too intimidated. So here I also write down things like review vocabs for Japanese. I've been practicing my writing. I'll show you my Japanese page in a little bit, but I do want to improve my vocabulary because I feel like for the past few years I've been using the same vocab, I've been speaking in the same way. I sort of want to improve the way I express myself. So I try to make the goals as specific as possible. For Korean, I'm starting to learn Korean this year, but I'm not focusing too much on it. I still want to spend most of my time on learning French and Japanese. So for this month, I just want to finish the textbook, which is called Talk to Me. Actually, last month I wanted to finish this textbook, but as I said, sometimes I just set my goals a little bit too high and I couldn't follow through. But I'm almost done, so this month I'll definitely finish it. And then I have a little table to track all of my hours. So the logic behind this is that I don't want to study all 3 languages every single day because that's just a lot, and I know I wouldn't be able to study all of them every single day. So I kind of just want to study 1 or 2 each day. So for this month, I was like, I want to spend more time on French. So I have 6 hours for French. So I basically study every single day, but I also want to make sure I take a break. So I don't study French on Monday. After I plan all of my hours, I can start making specific plans. That's where this calendar comes in. For each day, I would plan according to this table. So if I plan to study 1 hour on Monday for Japanese, every Monday I would have the same schedule. So I would practice writing, and then I would study vocabs. So same thing for every other day. I just look at this table and then I will allocate all of my hours to each language. So on Tuesday, I will listen to a podcast and then I will study some business Japanese. So I feel like if every week has the same schedule, it's just easier for me to track later. So every day I would come here and see my schedule. So if I have planned to listen to a podcast and study business Japanese, I would do that. But if I feel extra productive, I want to do something more, I wouldn't put it down here on Notion. I would write it down on my Hobonichi, which I will explain later. So say if I've completed a task like this one, I'll just check it off and then I will link it to my other table. So for every month I would have a tab. For now it is 2025 March, so I've completed it. I will link it to that database, which will show up in this table here. I watched one of the videos on YouTube on how to create trackers, so I'll link that down below. After I make plans, I will count all of my tasks, which I call it my learning goals. For last month, which is February, I have 27 tasks that I need to complete. This table will help me to calculate it and have a percentage here. I can probably round it up with some formula, but I've tried it, it didn't work, so I don't want to worry too much about it. I just really like to see the numbers. It feels very productive in a way, and also just kind of encourage me to do this every month. So if you've been watching my videos, you've probably already seen a lot of this tracker already, but something I added recently is this progress bar. I love it so much. It's very easy to make. I added a chart and I group by language. I just started Korean. That's why there are 3 parts here. And I think it's just more fun. Like, you can customize it. You don't have to have a bar chart. You can also make a pie chart. So for February, you can see that I finished 60% for French, 58% for Japanese, 60% for Korean. I really feel like the numbers are going up a little bit each month. So that's everything for the main page. I also have specific page for French and Japanese. If we go to my French page, I actually don't use the top section anymore because I do my planning in the main page. So this is very straightforward. I just put some of the vocabularies here. Sometimes when I listen to podcasts, I don't really have time to organize all of my vocabs into Anki. I also have a section for idioms. For resources, I really like to listen to this podcast called French Made Easy because it provides a lot of free exercise, so I would often link them here. So for example, this is the dictation exercise. For my journal page, last year I started a challenge, which is 30-day journaling. I wanted to start a habit of writing journals in French. So I started out just writing my daily routine, which I feel like wasn't very helpful. I started watching YouTube videos. As I was watching them, I would pick up things that I learned, write down some of the quotes that I really like. I actually ended up doing more than 30 days, but you can see that this year I haven't really been consistent with journaling. This is a page for me to keep track of the books I finished or I've been reading. Last month I finished I think this is the third book in this series. It's called Espion. But yeah, so far I've read 4. I didn't finish this one. It was a little bit boring, that's why I didn't finish it. Lastly, I have this notes section. This is a fairly new page. I started taking French lessons on italki, so I've been keeping track of everything I've learned in class. I learned prepositions. I kind of just put all the photos and notes here. Last week I learned characteristics and personalities. Sometimes I also have homework, but I don't put my homework here. I think this is just a great way to keep track of my in-class notes and resources. And for Japanese, yeah, I don't really use this section anymore. Like I said, I do everything in my main page now. This is just kind of a way to see if I've memorized all of my kanjis. So I actually write my kanjis in my notebook because that's a better way for me to remember them. For the ones I've already memorized, I will just say done. So I keep adding to this table if I've learned any new kanji. This is a template that I found somewhere on Notion. I don't know if I like it or not. I've been using it to journal. One of my favorite Japanese website is called Noto. There are a lot of blogs that random people post on it. I really like reading them because they're kind of short. After I read the article, I tried to write like a short reflection or short summary, sorry. Sometimes I also look up words if I don't know any of them, and I try to use these new words I learned in my summary or reflection. I've also been thinking to keep all of my grammar notes here, so if I learn a new grammar, I will put them here as well. I like to make sentences. It's not just how to use it, but how to make sentences with all of the grammars I learned. I like to watch different media for immersion practices. And lastly, I have a watch list. So I've actually been watching a lot of anime recently. I haven't been watching since like middle school. And this year my goal is really to watch more documentaries. One of you guys actually commented that watching documentaries helped you a lot. And I was like, that's such a great idea. I should do that too. Also, Tower of God is so good. I finished season 1 in like a week or something, and then I started watching season 2. I still have 1 episode left. Okay, one thing I want to say is that I feel like it left out a lot of details because when I was watching it, I was like, what just happened? Why? I loved the second season more. All the animations were fancier. Recently, I've been watching Jujutsu Kaisen. Yabai. Hontoni yabai. I already knew what's gonna happen because of the spoilers online. So I'm kind of scared to continue watching it. I know it's good, but Before I get into my Hobonichi, I want to share something that I've been loving. It is this All Sips water bottle. I started going to the gym regularly, so I try to stay hydrated throughout the day. After you twist on the scent sips, it adds a flavor to the water. Strawberry is my favorite one at the moment. There's no sugar, no calories. It helps me to drink more water. After planning my lounge learning in Notion, I use my Hobonichi every day to track my progress. This has actually made studying languages a lot more fun. I write down all the tasks I've completed here. In the first few pages, I also track other things like my video upload schedule, collaborations, no spend days, and exercise habits. For language learning specifically, I use different colors for each language: pink for French, blue for Japanese, and red for Korean. I try to study consistently so that my pages don't look too chaotic. If we go to the calendar page, since I update my Notion every month, I clear out my old goals as I plan for the new month. This helps me keep everything organized and written down. I also use different highlighters for each language. Blue for French, for example. In January, one of my goals was to renew my Babbel subscriptions and use it for 15 minutes every day. I also bought a Korean textbook. I already mentioned it, Talk to Me in Korean. I keep a TBR list to remind myself to read different books throughout the month. It includes manga, children's books, and so on. Even though I plan a lot of tasks in Notion, I don't always complete all of them. That's why I use my Hobonichi to document my actual progress. I can see which resources I used and which chapters I studied on specific days. Sometimes I use Babbel and I completed Unit 16. Other times I use a different resource. I also marked my French lessons with a sticker on the side. After each lesson, I usually have homework, so I make sure to write it down so I don't forget to turn it in before the next session. Celebrating small wins is important because it keeps me motivated. For example, so far this year, I've finished 3 books in French. At the beginning of February, I set a goal to finish watching the first season of Lupin, and I did. I really enjoyed this show, though watching it in both French and English subtitles was quite challenging. I am currently watching part 2. As for the rest of the pages, I use them for journaling, but since that's more personal and not language related, I won't be sharing them here. I hope this video gives you some inspiration if you're thinking about using a journal, whether it's Hobonichi or something else, to track your progress. So far, it has been a great experience for me, and I had so much fun filming this video. Thank you so much for watching.